I love watching Gone with the Winds. They're such an amazing couple out there doing the sailing thing to the fullest extent that it can be done. They're like Delos. They've got no boundaries as they sail everywhere in the world that they can find water. But today, after a long and somewhat disastrous experience with their brand new boat, they're giving up on it. Here's what happened and what H.H. Katz has to say about it. Gone with the Winds have been travel vloggers for a long time with the RVs and the boats, and they truly seem to have no limits when it comes to traveling and gallivanting around the planet, filming their experiences in beautiful places. If you haven't seen them and you need something to binge watch for, the next 2 years maybe, they are some of the best in the world at documenting their journey on land or at sea and covering the human side of this lifestyle. But things took a turn in recent times as they finally managed to acquire their dream boat, an HH-44 Catamaran. Now, we could likely do a whole different video on the Wynns and their amazing journey as YouTubers and how they turned a simple travel log into a full-on business. Many sailing YouTubers just make videos to make enough money to supplement the cruising kitty, but the Wynns are a great example of how going all in on YouTube and on that whole scene, for better or worse, becomes a full-time business with deadlines and bills and professional staff and tens of thousands of dollars in equipment. But I think that's a whole different topic that we can do later. HH Catamarans, owned by Hudson Yacht Group, is a brand specializing in high-performance luxury cruising catamarans known for sort of blurring the lines between racing and cruising, and has won a lot of those Boat of the Year awards. They have yacht building facilities in both China and the Philippines. They say on their website, "Our mission is to design and build some of the best performance cruising catamarans on the market. We aim to avoid compromising speed for comfort and instead build the two together, creating a safe and fun platform with an impeccable fit and finish. We are on the forefront of using new technology to build a better boat, and our innovative eco-drive creates simple and reliable option for silent electric motoring, hydro regeneration, and depending on the options, up to 5,000 watts of integrated solar. Our goal is to keep HH at the forefront of the marine industry and the pinnacle of owner-operator multi-hulls." Their new 44 was an all-new boat, and the Wynns arranged to purchase hull number 3 as it left the factory in China. They went to China as the boat was being completed and found it at the HH factory in less than stellar condition. Here's a quote from the Wynns themselves. "Once we got to the boat and we started looking around, we were sort of entered a state of shock. The boat wasn't in great shape. There were projects that were supposed to have been completed by now that hadn't even been started, and the work just wasn't up to spec." Now, being YouTubers and going all in with one specific boat is pretty big news and surely comes with some challenges of its own. You're essentially partnering with one company to sail their boat around famously. So you'll be working with that company a lot, and in later videos we find out, sometimes bound by certain legal agreements on what you can and can't say about their boat publicly. There's a whole business arrangement behind the scene here that we don't have access to. And to be that company that partners with a couple of very famous YouTubers carries its own risks. What if the boat goes wrong on an international platform and world-famous channel with almost 1 million subscribers? I can't imagine HA went into this decision lightly. It could be a major publicity thing for their smaller brand in a sea of big business catamarans like Lagoon and Leopard, but it could also backfire spectacularly. The Wynns fully admit that the early days on their 44 were trying, but any new boat will have teething issues, and they set their expectations as such. If you assume a certain amount can go wrong, you'll be expecting it to go wrong. And stuff went wrong as it would, but the Wynns took it in stride, getting the boat finished and ready to leave China, headed for the Philippines. Now, if you watch the Wynns, you'll know that their 44 Curiosity is equipped with parallel hybrid electric engines, 2 diesel, 2 electric motors that are powered by a 48-volt lithium bank. This is new age stuff and comes with its own teething issues, of course. On the first leg of this brand new boat's journey into the ocean, they expected a few things to go wrong, and they weren't disappointed. Neither were we, because we were along for the ride. The water maker was dripping salt water in its own locker. Oil was spraying from one of the engines. Anodes were wearing out mysteriously, incredibly fast, and could have been from stray current in the basin of water that they started in, or from another boat. But we find out later it wasn't. Electrical circuits kept tripping off randomly, a mainsail that just refused to come down without a ton of effort, and some delamination with the built-in solar array. Just 3 months into that first trip out to sea and 1,200 miles made good, they arranged to bring the boat back to an HH facility for some warranty work to be done, this time to the other AHH location in the Philippines. On their need to fix list, the fridge had stopped working, and after hours of testing and messing around with it, they couldn't get it to function. They needed more bottom paint because, fully loaded, the transoms were lower in the water and they were starting to collect growth. The boarding ladder had failed. Fuel was leaking from an engine. Some small fiberglass work needed to be done, just finishing work that wasn't handled well at the factory originally. All small teething issues. But more was going on underneath. They found sludge in one of the engine's coolant, and the anodes on the engines were getting eaten up very quickly. New anodes would be installed and get eaten up again. They were also losing coolant somewhere, but it wasn't leaking in the boat, and the engines were running kinda hot. In the warranty stay, HH said it would take about 10 days to fix everything on the list, but the Wynns planned for 20 or 25 days just to be safe, and it's a good thing they did because the fixing went on for 40 days. Now, remember, the Wynns are not just some couple gallivanting around the planet with an unlimited budget. This boat is their home and their business. They have obligations and fan expectations to strive for. Being down for 40 days in a boatyard is not good. You can only make so many boatyard videos. And in that 40 days, while they did fix a lot of small stuff, the Wynns found something else happening that was very weird. All the stainless fittings and hardware on the boat were rusting at an alarming rate. This is a brand new boat. The anodes, both in the engines and under the waterline, were being eaten away very quickly. They even found pitting in the aluminum mast step. Not good. The stray current, which they couldn't find the source of, was not only transmitting through the metal on the boat, but also through the carbon fiber, making every part of the boat susceptible to corrosion. They also noted the solar performance was subpar and not what they were expecting. The mainsail was still very, very hard to take down, and the electric motor range and speed were not as advertised. They found little spots of delamination in the resin on the boat, and something was going on with the props. Under full steam diesel, the boat was advertised to do 8.5 knots, but they could barely best 7. They also found subpar work in the gel coat here and there, and while the factory claimed to have tuned the rig, they found all the stays were loose at sea because it was tuned on the hard with no strain on the hulls. Once at sea, everything needed to be retuned again. Frustration for the Wynns was mounting, and it showed in their videos aboard. The next passage was covered in a video called Major Failure at Sea, and it was a pretty big deal. First, a belt snapped on one of the brand new engines. Then they couldn't rev past 2200. And then the catastrophic failure. The smell of burning electronics and plastic filled the boat, and it was hard to breathe. They found the batteries in the engine base hissing and swelling up, and they lost all propulsion from the drive systems. They couldn't run the electric drive or start the diesels. They limped under sail into safe harbor, falling back on their skills as experienced sailors and navigators. Kudos to the Wynns for handling this emergency in a calm and efficient manner, because it could have been a lot worse had they not handled it so well. Back in port, they worked with HH to figure out what was going on, and the list of problems was new. The fridge, after replacing the main board, turned out to be a bad wiring job on the install. The solar was still underperforming and limiting their electric range, and the panels were delaminating from the boat, and maybe worse, turning into jelly in the hot sun underfoot and melting. HH agreed to replace the panels with a newer model, but that would be a massive job because they're laminated to the glasswork, at least mostly. What happened at sea was an overcharging event to the AGM batteries, causing them to fail in spectacular fashion, but we still don't know why. The Wynns have said they aren't allowed to comment yet. The aluminum base plate of the mast and other aluminum parts are all pitted and likely need replacing. The anchor, a Goliath Rockna, is now discolored and showing pitting, and Rockna says they've never seen anything like this. And then the chain, massive expensive anchor chain meant to keep them safe, is failing at the welds and pitting and rusting. The anodes are still being eaten, though some changes made by HH to solve the problem, but the stray current is still there. They even filmed a bit below the water on an anode that was bubbling in real time as it got eaten. After a couple more months, which is a lifetime in show business going back and forth with HH, they finally agreed to send 2 guys to investigate this stray current causing all this catastrophic damage to the metal parts of the boat. But those 2 couldn't completely solve it. They did figure out, however, that it's coming from one of the engines. 7 months in dock for repairs. A lifetime if you need to run a business. The Wynns are giving up. Not on their amazing life or the videos that we love to watch, but on the HH Cat. They said they cannot comment publicly yet, which is frustrating for us, but they've reached an agreement with HH to sell the boat back to them. They say, "We understood fully that this is a brand new design, a brand new boat, but Curiosity has had more than her fair share of teething issues, and this is our home, our business. The disruption has just been too much to continue." Now, HH made a public statement on video for the Wynns, and we should watch that.
As we have said, we feel terrible for the position that we have put the Wynns in and the fact that their boat is not working as we'd expected. For that very reason, we have agreed to buy back the Wynns boat so that we can take our time to thoroughly repair it and then test it extensively. And we're sparing no expense on that. We've hired outside experts, including Nigel Calder and James Cote, to confirm that our yachts deliver on our promises. And this is especially important as we plan to roll out a lot more of these 44s in the near future. Of course, it's sad that we have to say goodbye to Jason and Nikki, but part of the motivation for this is that we can use their boat to showcase our repairs, let people demo the boat, and then build back some of that confidence in HH. We fully respect the Wynns' decision to move on, and we do not want to prevent them from living their lives and releasing more of the content that we know you guys all love. So for that very reason, we are going to buy Curiosity back. Of course, we wish them all the best, and we thank them for sharing all their excitement for this breakthrough design.
Now, this is a lot. I love watching the Wynns, and to be honest, I'm disappointed to hear that their HH Cat didn't work out. It looks like it would have been an amazing boat, and the hybrid electric drive was pretty cool stuff. But in the end, it all sort of failed. HH seems to want to do the right thing here, but I wish we knew the whole story behind the scenes and could see all the emails and stuff back and forth. Ultimately, I can't wait to see what the Wynns do next. They're such amazing and inspirational people, and whatever boat that they replace Curiosity with will surely be amazing for us to watch. Ever since I started sailing, I've had this dream to share it with as many people as possible, to show everyone the beauty and serenity that sailboats bring to our lives and disrupt the gatekeepers who tell us all the reasons we can't go sailing or that it's too expensive or too difficult. Sailing is for all of us, the great equalizer, whether you're in a 22-foot Catalina or a multi-million-dollar cat. There are no big shots out here. It's a disruptor, and I love it. To get more people sailing more easily, I make these videos, and I wouldn't be able to do that without the support of the patrons. People who give as little as a couple of dollars an episode to make this all possible. Thank you so much. If you'd like to help get more people sailing, please consider becoming part of the team on Patreon. Until next week, friends, keep the heavy side down, but not too far down. I love you guys.